Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Staying in the Conversation with me, Becca. This week's episode is titled When the Foundation's Firm, the Storms Don't Matter. I got that title from a song I'd been listening to, and in today's episode, I'm going to talk about what that means to me, what those words really mean to me, and how it can be helpful for you in your life, especially when you're going through the storms, when your life isn't so great, when things are happening in your world that you wish weren't happening, and how practical this understanding can be, and the true practicality of having firm foundations, having a place to come back to, and how practical that can be in your everyday life. Every day to day life, the things that you do, you wake up, you live your life, you do things, and also life happens, and sometimes things just tend to happen that wasn't in our plan. It really wasn't in our plan, and it throws us off kilter. And it's like, what do we do then? What do we do when we get thrown off kilter? What do we come back to? What are we standing on? Is the ground we're standing on really solid? Is the ground we're standing on able to hold us up? Can it hold us up? Can we trust in it? Can we believe and whole solely our entire lives, our entire essence? Can we put our entire 120% faith in the foundations that we're standing on? Is it possible? So, sorry. So last week I talked about love and firm foundations and what that means. And I think the sort of highlights of last week's episode was that we are essentially all that we are. We are all encompassing is one energy, and it doesn't matter what that one energy, what you call it. It doesn't matter what word you put on it, but the word I've used to interpret this one energy, after all, it is the formless, but the way I've interpreted this one energy is love, is through the word love. That is, we are an expression of love. All of us, 8 billion, or however many of them there are, however many of us there are in this world, 8 billion humans, we are 8 billion expressions of love. And whilst it doesn't always look like that in the world with things that are going on, it doesn't look that way. There is more than meets the eye. There is more than what we see with our human eyes, because we are that essence of love. There is already this inbuilt foundation, this inbuilt starting point that we can continuously come back to, which is that we are the energy of love. And then when we consciously build our foundations around the fact that we're this all-encompassing energy, and we really look into it deeply, we get curious, we play with it, we play with this idea, okay, well, if I am this all-encompassing love energy, what does that mean? What does an all-encompassing love energy do? What does it look like? What does it feel like? What does it taste like? What does it smell like? Like, how would an all-encompassing love energy human being live their life? What would they be doing? What would they be saying? What would they be looking like? How would they be feeling? All of these things. And when we really deeply get curious about that and then start, brick by brick building these foundations based on love, based on the energy of love, we can, and we're sorry, and then we're building these foundations based on that energy of love. What happens is we have a home to come back to. We have somewhere to to park ourselves, to sit, to, like a quiet space, like a little time out for our own self, like an internal sort of time out that we get to go back to when the storms are striking, when things are happening in our world, when an unexpected bill comes into play or whatever happens in our world, we have that firm foundation to come back to. We can trust that what we've built our life on, which is that love energy, what we've built our life on, is strong and it's unwavering. It's not going to crumble. It's not going to break. It's not going to be destroyed. It's not. It cannot, because it is us. It is infinite, and it is who we are at our core. And so knowing that we have that firm foundation, how can that help us in real life, in real practicalities of life? So I'm going to take one that is really my forte, where I'm really strong at, and I would love the rest of the world to be strong in this area too, which is money. The big topic of society is always money. Not enough money, that's too expensive, I need more money. I think even the richest man in the world, I'm not even going to try and quote his name because I'll probably get it wrong, was in an interview and was asked, if you could end poverty or something like that, if you could end world poverty, or would you, or something like that, and he said he wouldn't. So it's like, money is a big topic in this day and age, and maybe every day and age it is. But along with this spiritual journey that I've been on, I've noticed how I've set myself up for such success with the money story that I didn't even know I had. So here's where I have true evidence that these firm foundations, this spiritual journey that I'm on, that you're on, you're here, you're listening to this episode, to this podcast, and when we're on this journey, we get to see more and more. We get to see more deeply us. We get to see ourselves more deeply. We get to see our stories unfold and unravel. And so my money story, from the age of 7, I remember having a £5 note and a £10 note. And I remember holding one in each hand, and I decided that I was the richest person alive because I had £15. And around me, the adults around me, as they do, they said things like, "Oh, that's too expensive, we can't afford that." And these are the words I heard around me. And I was never really short of anything. I've got the most amazing mum ever in the world, and I'm not just saying that because she might listen to this video. I actually truly mean that. But yeah, jokes aside, so I was never short of anything in that sense, but I definitely heard, it was definitely the message that little Becca was given, that money was a thing, that was expensive, we don't have enough. And so with my £15, with my £5 in one hand and my £10 in the other, I declared that I was the richest person alive, and that I would never not have enough money for something, that I would always have more than enough money for the things I need to buy and the things I want to buy. Now, I was 7. I didn't think, okay, I'm going to go on a spiritual journey and I'm going to set up the law of attraction and, I'm going to, I had nothing riding on it. It was just a declaration that I made at the age of 7. And to this day, I have never struggled with money. I wouldn't say I'm the richest person in the world. I mean, I do say that. I do say I'm the richest person ever because I am. I am in an abundance of things that I need. What is enough money, anyways? We can ask ourselves that question. You can get £100. It's like, oh, if only I had £100 more. You could have £10,000. And it's like, oh, if only I had £10,000 more. Numbers are infinite, and so money is infinite. So whether you've got £50 million or you've got £50, you're rich, and you can be rich and then some. You can have an abundance. So that that story of being the richest person in the world, of never not having never, so I'll never not have enough money. I'll always, that's what I remember saying, I'll always have more than enough. So I'll always have money for the things I want, for the things I need, and some left over. And that's kind of what I declared, and that's what I've lived by, sort of innocently and accidentally. And I think this is really important to make note of what I'm saying here, because later in this recording, I am going to say something quite controversial, to some people's opinions. So I do think it's really important that in this instance, I'm talking about something positive, that I'm talking about, this money story that I created innocently and accidentally really, really served me. Equally, but I will talk more on this later, but equally, we can create stories innocently and accidentally that absolutely doesn't serve us and gets us into mess and creates the storms that we get stuck in. So I do think it's important to make a note of when I say things that are quite controversial, or say things that don't sound totally right. And it works both ways. It works with positive things and negative things. It works both sides, and it is never a blame thing. It is never a space to beat yourself up or ridicule yourself. This is not what this is. This is a spiritual journey to uncover the truth of who you are as a human being and a spiritual being. Is to uncover your truth. Who are you? Knowing that you're this all-encompassing love energy. Knowing that. Who are you? Knowing that you absolutely cannot get it wrong. Who are you? So with this with this firm foundation that money works for me, basically, is what I created from the age of 7, and I continued it on all the way up to now, and to the future, carrying it on forevermore, that money serves me, and I always have money in abundance, because it doesn't make sense for it to be any other way. And my entire life, it's been that way, that money has just come exactly when I needed it. That I've always had enough money for the things I need. For example, something very practical, mundane, normal life. 3 weeks before Christmas, my oven broke. I was devastated. It was like, it's 3 weeks before Christmas. And I bought another oven. Just like that, I was able to buy another oven. And I'm so grateful that I can do that. And this isn't me boasting or saying, oh, I've got loads of money. It isn't that, and I hope it's not coming across as that. What I am trying to I suppose what I'm trying to allow you to see is that you too, you can have this abundance too. You can have this peace and serenity around money as well. That if money isn't your strong point and you're really, really struggling and you don't feel like the richest person in the world and it doesn't feel like money comes to you easily, you can have this too. All of that can be changed because whatever your experience around money is was created on the inside. It was created innocently and accidentally through the power of thought, through whatever stories you innocently and accidentally took on and kept hold of and lived throughout till now. And so that's what you're seeing. So I, at the age of 7, innocently and accidentally picked up this story that with £15 I was the richest person on this planet and I would always have money, and that was that. I declared that, and that's what I saw, that's what I got. You get what you put in, and because we are innocently and accidentally putting things in, it doesn't always look like we've put that in. There will be this big massive mess over here in the real world, sort of in the form, the world of the form. There'll be this big mess, and it's like, oh gosh, where did that come from? Like, I've been very kind and patient and meditative, and I've done this and I've done that, and oh, I don't know where this mess came from. There's this quote, I can't remember who said it, so I'll have to Google that later. But there's this quote that says, "Thought makes up reality," and then says, "I didn't do it." So there's these thoughts. So we've got this, positive accidental story that I created at the age of 7. I'm the richest person on this planet and I'll always have more than enough money. And then there's this, experience of always having money. It's like, oh, well, that's nice. So of course, I'm not going to negate that. When I came to realize, oh, I created that. That was me. I did it. I'm not going to suddenly think, oh gosh, what an idiot am I? Like I created this. No, I'm going to think, wow, that's bloody awesome. That's so cool. What else can I create? So now, now for the controversial side. What about when we've created storms and we've created messes in our lives? What then? What happens? Where's the practicality in that? Where's the gentleness in that? Where's the love there? Because it really is coming from that loving space. It isn't coming from blame or guilt or beating yourself up. It isn't coming from those things. So when there is a story that isn't serving us very well, we see the messes out, we see the messes there, um, we see the messes out in the world, and then we think, how do I get myself out of this mess? And what society has taught us, what life has taught us, just what it looks like, psychology even. And I'm not dissing psychology. Psychology is amazing and has really, really, really helped us like leaps and bounds. But the human mind is a very complex thing. It's like that both. It's both complex and completely and totally simple. But I think that's a topic for another day. But psychology has told us that yes, if we look at the circumstance and we think, okay, so do that and then change your behavior around there and see it differently and change your perception. And we've always looked to what has already been created. We've never gone back to what created it in the first place. So the money story, 7-year-old Becca created that. Great, perfect. Let's keep that alive. We like that story. But there are some other stories that I created along the way when I was growing up. What if people don't like me? I don't think they like what I say. What if they think I'm annoying or boring? What if I say it wrong? What if I get it wrong? What if they laugh at me? Those stories weren't very helpful, and I got myself in heaps of messes. I suffered a lot as a teenager through no one's fault. I think in this world, in this society, we're so quick to point the finger. Whose fault is it? Who's to blame? Who made this happen? We're very quick. And then when spiritual teachers like myself say, we created it, you create your very own reality. It's like, oh, so I'm to blame. You're blaming me. And then we go into defense, and it's like, no, this can't possibly be my fault. Or we go into blaming ourselves and beating ourselves up. And that's not it either. It can't possibly be it. Remember, you're the all-encompassing energy of love. Love isn't going to beat you up. Love isn't going to defend. Love is gentle. Love is kind. Love is that all-encompassing peace energy. So when I say you create your reality, that is a powerful statement. It's an empowering statement. The fact that I created the messes in my life that I created, the suffering that I went through. I remember looking at myself in the mirror and like at the age of 15 and just seeing a very, very sad soul. Very sad soul. I remember looking into my eyes thinking, what's missing? What's wrong with you and what's missing? Something's missing. There was this deep sense of curiosity and this deep sense of, I know there's something missing. I know there's something missing. And it's not that something was actually missing. It was that I was missing the point. So, I was complete in that moment. In the moment when I looked into the depth of my soul through my eyes, I felt like something was missing. But in that very moment, I was completely whole and complete. But I was missing the point. The point is, and was then, and is now, and always will be, that I am the all-encompassing energy of love. And from that space, I can see all those messes. Like, I didn't know that. I didn't know I was that all-encompassing love energy. And so I didn't like my internal self. I really didn't. And I struggled and fell into a depression and had suicidal thoughts and, really went through a really hard time. A really, really hard time. It wasn't that I didn't like the external side of me. It was something going on internal. And now I can see how I innocently and accidentally created that. I created that because I truly believed that I could get something wrong. I truly believed that there was something wrong with me, that I was broken somehow and I needed fixing, that there was something missing inside of me for me to be a complete human. I needed to find that missing thing. And it just wasn't true. And it just simply wasn't true. And so all of the messes I got myself in growing up, I can see now that it was created by the thoughts. Because I remember people asking me, once I came out of depression and started living my life and started living for me and loving me and deeply, getting curious about who I am and truly loving me, loving Becca, loving me from the inside out. People would say, "Oh, how did you get out of it? Like, sometimes people who were depressed in that moment came to me and said, I'm so depressed, and I saw you and you were depressed and now you're okay. Like, what did you do? And I know what happened. My thinking changed. But that sounds very blasé and very simple. And as humans, we can't tolerate something so simple. What do you mean your thinking changed? So, this entire time there was nothing wrong with you? Well, yeah, basically, that's what I'm saying. So, to this day, to say I don't know what happened isn't true, because I do. My thinking changed. That's it. Full stop. But I didn't do anything to get out of it. I just carried on every day, another day, another day, and another day. And then one day, I got a new thought, and that came with a new feeling. And to elaborate on that a little bit more, coming back to that quote of thought creates our reality, and then says, I didn't do it. So thought created my money reality. Thought created my depression reality. Thought created the spiritual journey that I'm on right now. Thought is always creating the experiences. It's like you've got the thought at the starting line, and then you've got the experience. And then it's like we go through this space of, wait, how did this experience even happen? If we've gotten ourselves in a muddle, or we're having really good experience, really good, and then suddenly, bam, something happens. It's like, well, how did that happen? And it's coming back to that thought. Thought created it. And it's not necessarily, you might not know what thought created it, but there is something there. And it isn't about uncovering every single thought you have or policing your thinking, because that's not going to get you anywhere fast, except for overanalyzing, overthinking, and overstressed. Because we can't control what pops into our head. We don't choose that. That just happens by the power behind life. That just happens by this thing that allows our nails to grow and our hair to grow, and acorns to grow into oak trees, and sunflower seeds to grow into big sunflowers. Thoughts pop into our head. And sometimes they're great, sometimes they're mediocre, and sometimes they're not so great. And so when we're in the experience of the storm, when we're in the experience of that not nice thinking, just knowing that that experience is thought created allows a shift in our consciousness. It opens a space for, oh, so if I'm not stuck in this experience and it's coming from my thinking, and my thinking will change by itself. It will just change if I just do nothing, take a breath, go to sleep, watch TV, go for a walk, whatever. If I just leave it alone for a bit, my thoughts will change, and therefore my feelings will change, and potentially as a byproduct, my experience will change. And notice experience. Your experience can change 100%, but the circumstance might not. Like, sometimes what happens, and what I've definitely experienced, is that when I get an insight around something, when I'm struggling with an area, I've got a really good example. I'm also a nanny, as if you weren't aware, as well as a mentor and life coach. I'm also a nanny, and so when I'm doing homework with the little ones, it's always been quite challenging. It's always been this. Any parents out there or nannies, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I think this is a universal collective consciousness here. It was always a battle to get the 9-year-old to do homework. And I was really curious about that. I was like, I sit here on YouTube talking about this amazing truth about human and spiritual nature. I sit here talking about this, and then I'm getting really grumpy over homework. So I've clearly created it. I know I've created it. Like, I know for a fact that I've created the experience of homework being challenging, being difficult, being a battle. I created that, and I fully knew, but it didn't take away the experience of the arguments between me and the 9-year-old. Do your homework. No, I don't want to. And then, an hour and a half later, homework's been done, but there's been tears and shouting and all sorts. Um, so it's like, no, this isn't working for me. So that was my experience, and it was an everyday thing because homework was given every day. It was an everyday thing, Monday to Friday, and I was like, no, I don't like this. I don't want this to be my experience anymore. And so I got really curious about it, and then asked questions on to my mentor and asked myself questions, sat with it. Okay, how can it be different? And then I kind of just forgot about it. Like, honestly, hand on heart, I completely forgot that homework was difficult, that homework was a challenge. I stopped talking about homework being difficult. I stopped talking about how much I despise children getting homework. I honestly don't think children need homework. Um, um, but that's a topic for another day. Um, so yeah, I completely forgot about it. I stopped complaining about it, and then one day, I think it was a Tuesday. I'm quite good at remembering random days. One Tuesday, um, both the children I look after, the little one's always been quite good at doing homework, so it's never been a challenge in that sense. And this was where the curiosity also came from, that with the 6-year-old, never had a problem with homework, never a battle, was never a challenge. So it was even more evidence homework can't possibly be difficult. Like, homework can't intrinsically be a battle, because I'm not having a battle with the 6-year-old, only the 9-year-old. So it's obvious that it's my thinking, very obvious that I've created this. So I can uncreate it and recreate something new. So one Tuesday, both of them were just sitting down doing their homework. There was no tears, no shouting, no tantrums. Homework, just peaceful and calm. And sometimes we forget to revel in the miraculousness of these experiences, of these moments. And I decided not to bypass it. I stopped what I was doing and I reveled in the miracle that I was witnessing. Because I don't even remember what I did. I didn't do anything specific in order to make homework less of a battle. All I did was get curious. I got curious, insights came, and then I forgot about it. And then that Tuesday, and ever since, I've noticed, who knows how long homework was calm and peaceful for, but since I noticed that Tuesday, that's it. Homework has been amazing. No challenges, no tears and tantrums, no problems. And from that space, witnessing that, it's like, oh, okay, so maybe homework isn't such a bad thing for children. Like, everything around that experience, and it can seem like a little thing. It's like, oh, he's only 9, it's not that big of a deal, and you can write it off. You can really write it off and say, oh, it's not that miraculous. But why? Why would you want to write off such a miracle? I love my quotes. So there's another one, and it's Albert Einstein. There's two ways that you can live your life. Either as if everything is a miracle, or as if nothing's a miracle. And I really like to live my life as if everything is a miracle, because it absolutely is. Isn't it a miracle that our thinking creates the reality that we see? Our thinking creates what homework is, like how that experience, our opinions on homework. Our reality creates our opinions on money, on depression, on feelings, on emotions. Our reality creates it all. Our thinking creates it all. And isn't that just miraculous? And then not only does it create it all, it denies it. It makes us believe that everything we see is just truth, is intrinsic, factually true. Homework is difficult. In my case, money is abundant. Money is always there. Something's wrong with me and I'm broken. So if that was true, if let's go back a little bit, let's rewind. If that was intrinsically, factually true, that I was broken and I needed fixing at the age of 15, I wouldn't be able to sit here today and talk the way I'm talking. I wouldn't be able to sit here and talk about this amazing truth of human beings and spiritual beings, of the fact of how our psychological system works. I wouldn't be able to sit here and do that because I'd still be too busy trying to fix that broken thing of me. Hopefully that makes sense. So it's not intrinsically true. It's not factually true that that 15-year-old was broken. Because if that was the case, if it was the case, let's look at this logically. Let's peel it apart a little bit. If it was the case that somebody could be broken, that means they can be fixed. So it'd have to be true for everyone. Absolutely, 8 billion of us, it'd have to be true for everyone. So if when I was depressed, I was broken, and I discovered something that fixed me, that means that thing would fix everybody who is depressed. And just saying that sentence sounds ludicrous because this world isn't a one size fits all. The understandings that we have, the psychology that we have, what science has done for us, what history does for us, all of these things, all of the spiritual teachings, religions, there's so many things, there's so many beliefs, there's so many different things that allows people to get the same results, which is living a peaceful, calm, and happy life. We all want the same thing. We all want to live a peaceful, calm, and happy life. And we may express it in different words in different ways, but at the end of the day, it circles back to, I want to do the right thing. I want to do right by myself, by my family, by my kids, by this, by that. I just want to do the right thing. I want to be a good person. And so when we come back to the truth, to the foundation of who we are, which is the all-encompassing power of love, that energy, that's who we are. And we come back to the truth that life, every day, everything is a miracle. We come back to that, and we come back to the firm foundations that are built on love and understanding and compassion and peace and wisdom. We come back to those things. And what we get from that, what we get from all of those things combined, is a peaceful, happy, calm life where you can't actually get it wrong. Because if it feels like you've gotten something wrong, you can change it, you can rectify it. If there is something that you haven't done totally correct or not very nice, you've yelled at your kids, or you snapped at your partner, or you were late for work, anything that happens in your day-to-day life, there is a practicality here that can allow you to forgive yourself, come back to the foundations of love, and build from there. Rebuild your life, rebuild your reality from the foundation of love. And believe me, you cannot get it wrong. But at the same time, you absolutely don't have to believe me, and you don't have to take my word for it. Go out there and play, experiment. The same way that I experimented with homework, find something not super challenging for you, not like your biggest thing that's, oh my days, that's so difficult and hard. Find something smaller like homework with me, because it wasn't that big of a deal. It was frustrating, but it wasn't keeping me awake at night. So don't choose the thing that's keeping you awake at night, if there is such a thing. Choose something little like homework, and play with it in your version of homework, your equivalent, and get curious. Can you have a calmer, happier experience? And if you can, get back to me, let me know how it went. And maybe the bigger things can change too, just maybe. So keep an open mind and an open heart, stay curious, and I will see you again in the next episode of Staying in the Conversation. Thank you. Lots of love. Bye.